now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Northern Planning Committee. I am Councillor Paul Wynne, Chair of the committee. I'm obliged to inform you that the meeting is being live streamed, so members of the public will be able to hear the audio of the meeting and view the papers shown on the screen. This meeting is being held using remote technology, and should any committee member experience technical difficulties during the meeting, they should immediately contact the designated IT officer on the number they have already been supplied with. Everyone is requested to mute their microphones unless asked to speak. Please only use the chat function to indicate the desire to speak, but nothing else, so that it is clear who is asking to speak and the debate has to be heard by those listening to the audio feed. Members are asked to ensure that they are present throughout the meeting, as you cannot vote on any item if you have not heard all the debate. As Chair, I will interpret the Council's existing standing orders in light of the requirements of remote participation, with advice from the monitoring officer prior to making our ruling. At the start of the meeting, I will ask members of the committee to confirm their presence and any disclosable pecuniary interest they have in any of the items on the agenda. I will ask everyone that speaks during the meeting, including members of the committee and officers, to introduce themselves each time before they speak. This is so those listening know who is speaking. Members are reminded to disclose any pecuniary interest in any matters to be discussed, which is not included in the register of interest, and leave the meeting by turning off their camera, muting their microphone prior to the matter being discussed. Right, now we'll do the roll call, and if you have any interests. I'll kick off. Chairman Paul Wynne, I have no interest. Councillor Roy Aldercroft.
Councillor Roy Aldcroft, yeah, no interest.
Thank you. Councillor Nick Bardsley.
Yep, present Chairman, and I have no interest.
Thank you. Councillor Gerald Dakin.
Present, and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. Councillor Pauline D.
I'm present and I have no interest to declare.
Thank you. Councillor Nat Green.
Present, and but I do have to declare that I'm a twin-hatted member of Shrewsbury Town Council, but I do have a dispensation to come to a different opinion to what that I may have come to on previous applications.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Vince Hunt.
I am present and have no interest to declare.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Jones.
I am present and nothing to declare.
Thank you. Councillor Pamela Mosley.
I'm present, Chair, and for item 6, I'll be reading my statement and then muting and disappearing for the term of the discussion.
Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you.
Councillor Keith Roberts.
Yeah, present, Chair. I've got item 5. The applicant is known to me in my previous occupation, but that's all. Item 6, I'm a member of the Shrewsbury Town Council Planning Committee, and likewise, like Nat Green, got dispensation. Item 7, and of course, the applicant is the Deputy Leader of Shropshire Council. That's it, Chair.
Right, thank you for that. Councillor David Vasmere.
Present, Chair. I'm also a twin-hatted councillor, but I don't think this will affect my opinion in any way.
Thank you very much. Right. Please can the officers now confirm their presence, starting with the planning officers.
Philip Molyneux, Principal Planner.
Kelvin Hall, Principal Planner.
Thank you.
Tim
Miranda?
Rogers. Sorry, it's Tim Rogers, Area Planning Manager. Thank you, just for completeness.
Thank you. Solicitor?
Miranda Garrard, Solicitor.
Thank you. Committee Officer?
Tim Ward, Committee Officer.
Thank you, Tim. Okay. I shall now turn to the items on the agenda. Item 1, apologies. Do we have any apologies?
No apologies, Chair.
Thank you, Tim. Can the committee officer confirm if there are any? Yeah, right, sorry. Item 2, the minutes. To confirm the minutes of the Northern Planning Committee meeting held on the 27th of May 2020. I move that the minutes of the previous Northern Planning Committee meeting held on the 27th of May 2020 be signed as a correct record. Can I have a seconder, please?
Cool.
Thank you, Pauline.
Happy to second.
So we're taking Pauline as the seconder. Yeah? Okay. I will now accept these minutes as a true record unless anyone else indicates differently. We all right with that? No is indicated. Right. Item 3, public question time. Do we have any public questions?
No public questions, Chair.
Thank you. Item 4, disclosable pecuniary interest. This has been dealt with during the initial roll call of the meeting. Now we're returning to the substantive items. I will be inviting the planning officer to present them before dealing with the public speaking part of the meeting, and then asking for comments from a member of the committee. Item 5 is Millstone Garden, Ornaments Albury. Can I have the planning officers introduce themselves and present it, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Philip Mullen, Principal Planner speaking, presenting this application. The application is made in outline and it's for the erection of 2 detached dwellings with all matters reserved for future consideration. There are no updates in relation to this application. First slide, please. The application site is as outlined in red and indicates in relation to the surrounding residential area. On opposite side of the public highway are 70 detached dwellings of the 1920s era, and alongside the site a cottage known as Yew Tree Cottage. The site is on the approach to the built-up environment as you proceed towards Albury from the Shrewsbury direction. Next slide, please. That is the site itself outlined in red again, indicating it is close proximity to the surrounding dwellings. Next slide, please. Accompanying the application is an indicative plan indicating how 2 dwellings could fit onto the site. Note they've got garages set back and their driveways, a shared access of the adjacent public highway. Next slide, please. Right, the site is, as I've indicated, on the edge of the settlement and comprises what is classed as a brownfield site. In other words, it's had a previous use, and in this case in relation to the production of garden ornaments. And then now follows a range of photographs indicating the site. If we could go through them, please. Indicating the site as looking at it off the adjacent highway. Next one. Right, that's clearly indicating it's a brownfield site with a amount of debris on site, etc. Next one. That's looking at it from within the site. Next one. Built farm on site. As indicated, this application represents an application for development of a brownfield site located adjacent to a cluster of houses on the edge of the settlement known as Albury. Albury, in accordance with the SAMDEV local plan, is classed as open countryside, and as such local plan policy does not support unencumbered residential development on this site. The local parish council has objected to the application for this reason. However, their response does indicate they would like to see the site developed as they consider it an eyesore, but consider it should only be developed for affordable housing. Technically, officers agree with this recommendation, as this site, in context to the surrounding built environment, would be considered acceptable for affordable housing. However, a material consideration is the site's brownfield status. The application is accompanied by a ground contamination report, as outlined in paragraph 6.32 of your report. Please also refer to condition number 8 attached in Appendix 1 with regards detail required as in relation to land contamination. In conclusion, officers acknowledge this is a finely balanced application in that it represents redevelopment of a brownfield site that in policy terms is located in open countryside, which will incur expense in order to make the site suitable for residential use. As such, the recommendation is one of approval, subject to the conditions as outlined in Appendix 1. And I'd like to add, if members are mindful to support the application as recommended, then they may wish to consider attaching an additional condition restricting development to 2 dwellings only, and that they are no more than 2 stories in height, covering internal floor space of 120 square meters with appropriately scaled garages. And the reason for this additional condition suggestion is in order that development on site is reflective of the surrounding built environment in this semi-rural location. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my presentation on this item.
Thank you very much, Philip. Bill, if there are any public speakers on this matter, they will have submitted written statements to be read out in accordance with the revised procedure for public speaking. I will therefore ask the solicitor to read out any such statements.
Thank you, Chair. In respect of this application, I have one statement here from the local member, Councillor Ed Potter, and he can't be here to read his statement himself and has asked therefore that I do so. And he says, I am very much in favour of the principle of developing this site. It has been a disused industrial site for many years and over time has become increasingly unsightly, untidy and run down, as is often the case with buildings and their surroundings, which become unused and unloved. On one of the main entrances to the village, this has become a concern for many residents over time. I note the Parish Council's objection to the application and was present at the meeting when this was discussed. Whilst I cannot speak for Albury and Cardiston Parish Council, there is a strong desire to uphold the open countryside planning status of the parish as designated in SAMDEV, hence their objection to open market housing applications within the parish. However, it is important to note through their submission when consulted, they too wish to see the site tidied up. I would say there is a reluctant recognition that the site will be needing to be developed to achieve this goal. Locally, I have been contacted by many residents and neighbours who have all expressed support for this application, namely for the reasons outlined above. I have not been contacted by any residents who object to this application. The one issue I would raise is the perennial speeding issues suffered by residents and any contributions from developments to support the traffic calming measures on what is an ever-increasing busy commuter route would be much appreciated by all. Concerns are always raised around any additional development in the community which will result in additional traffic movements. Likewise, considerable safety concerns have been raised around the junctions of Roughton Avenue and Abbey Lane, which are in very close proximity to the proposed site. Therefore, I would ask members of the North Planning Committee to approve this application, and if any consideration or conditions might be suitable to help address the speeding and safety concerns within the village of Albury. That's the end of that statement. Thank you, Chair, and there are no other public speaking statements on this item.
Thank you very much, Miranda. Does the planning officers wish to clarify any points in response?